Max?
When I turned around, there stood my ex-wife and a young man.
I'm really happy now. Thanks to him, I'm having much more luxurious life than before. And you? Probably just doing some menial part-time job. Making what, about $1,000 a month? That's pitiful.
I just gave a non-committal reply and was about to walk away when, my name is Max. I work as a programmer using AI at a major company. The job is demanding, and I often work late into the night. Taking the last train home has become a daily routine. About 3 years after joining the company, I met my current wife, Kim, at a matchmaking party. Kim was working in accounting at a well-known machinery manufacturer. We hit it off and exchanged contact details. After we started dating, Kim would sometimes cook for me.
I'm actually quite good at cooking.
I gradually became attracted to Kim's domestic nature. I'll make you happy. Please marry me. And so we got married and were supposed to live happily ever after. Once we started living together, Kim's sloppiness became apparent. Kim was good at cooking, but seemed to struggle with tidying up, laundry, cleaning, and other household chores. When we were dating, it seemed she would clean vigorously on the days I was coming over. Lately, I've been coming home late at night and doing the household chores. It's very tough to do household chores with a body worn out from working late. Even when I asked Kim for help, she wouldn't join in, saying,
I'm not good at it.
Nevertheless, Kim still cooked for me. I liked the meals Kim occasionally made. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Forcing someone to do what they are not good at is cruel and could lead to fights. If I do it, the issue is resolved. There's no need to deliberately create unnecessary problems. Besides, it's outdated to assume that a wife should handle all the household chores in this day and age. I told myself I was happy as long as I could eat delicious food on the weekends.
I quit my job.
It was sudden. I had never heard her talk about hating her job or having a tough time. Why all of a sudden did something happen? I approached Kim, unable to hide my surprise.
Not really. Max, you seemed busy with work, so I didn't say anything, but I've always wanted to be a full-time housewife.
Had she been thinking about it all this time? Was it because I was so focused on my work that I hadn't listened to her? Hearing this, I felt guilty. I learned enough. Don't worry. Now that she was a full-time housewife, she might try harder with the household chores she wasn't good at. Then my burden would lessen, and I could focus more on my work. But Kim, even as a full-time housewife, hardly did any housework. Since quitting her job, Kim started to be harsh on me. Even as a housewife, I continued to do the housework. Then Kim said we were tight on money, and I was put on an allowance. She wouldn't make lunch for me, and I started getting $5 every morning. With that $5, I ate hot dogs or sandwiches. The occasional drinks with colleagues also stopped. Even if called unsociable, I never talked about my family matters. It somehow felt shameful to talk about my home life. I wondered how others saw my family situation. I couldn't consult anyone about it. Kim often went out with friends on weekends, while I worked hard and saved, eating $5 lunches. Kim seemed to be enjoying fancy lunches. More and more expensive-looking cosmetics that I had never seen before appeared. When I got home, there were cardboard boxes scattered around, presumably from online shopping. Just thinking about having to do housework after a long day at work was depressing. not to mention the clutter of cardboard boxes. Since Kim became a full-time housewife, my sleep has decreased even more. Even when I try to sleep, I find it hard to fall asleep. When I check our bank account, despite my savings, our expenses have increased more than ever. A call came in during work. It was from my in-laws. I went to a secluded break room to answer the call. Lately, I've been getting calls from Kim's parents during work like this. They don't care even when I say to stop because I'm at work.
It's just for a bit. What? You can't spare time to listen to us?
I ignored the call once. Then, when I got home, Kim said to me,
You're not that busy at work. It's your fault they call me because you don't answer. Make sure to pick up next time.
my in-laws always just state their business and hang up. This time, it was a call from Kim's father, Ray. They both call me one after another. Every time they called, I felt more and more drained. Ray said there was a leak and asked for the roof to be fixed. Wasn't it just fixed for a leak recently? First of all, aren't I the one earning the money? How much more money do they plan to take?
You'll be getting a bonus, won't you?
Why would they even know that? I could also hear Kim's voice on the other end of the phone. Did Kim tell her parents? They just do whatever they want. In the end, I ended up paying the bill for the repairs. No matter how hard I work late, my earnings are squeezed out by Kim and her parents. I was completely exhausted by these days. Lately, I've started taking naps in the break room at noon. I need to catch some sleep since I can't at night. Not many other employees use this place. It's quiet and my favorite spot, undisturbed by anyone. Lately, even here, Ray would call about money again. Enough is enough. I hung up and let out a big sigh.
Was that your dad again?
The concerned voice belonged to Sally. It seemed she had overheard a bit of the phone conversation. She had been present a few times when I was on the phone with my in-laws and had started to show concern recently. She works in accounting at this company. We haven't talked much, but rumor has it her family owns a real estate business and she is quite the heiress. However, she never brags about it and is always quiet, hardly ever seen talking with anyone. During lunch breaks, she would come to this break room and eat alone. Eventually, we started talking whenever we saw each other.
Being forced to cover your father-in-law's bills is just wrong.
Sally stated it plainly. Despite her quiet appearance, Sally was the type who could express her opinions clearly. She also had a strong sense of justice and seemed genuinely concerned about me. It was comforting to have someone who cared. I didn't want to trouble Sally, who cared so much about me, any further. It's okay. Thank you. Sally looked me in the eyes intently and sighed.
Why do you always deceive yourself and live this way?
Her words surprised me. I hadn't realized it, but I was trying to keep going with my current life. I thought I could handle it as long as I endured the hardships, even though I knew that my marriage was falling apart. When I returned to the office, my usually bustling department was eerily quiet. Everyone was looking at me and whispering something. The atmosphere in the department felt tense. A senior executive nearby noticed me and approached.
You've caused quite a problem.
The executive glared at me sharply. I heard that a severe bugs had been found in the system we had recently implemented and handed over to a client, causing important clients' data to be lost. How could this happen? I had checked my part of the program multiple times. It was supposed to be flawless. Was there new bugs somewhere? No, I hadn't heard anything about that. If I had, I would have made corrections. Why could this have happened? I racked my brain trying to clear up the misunderstanding, but my exhausted mind just wouldn't cooperate. Seeing me unable to respond, the executive sighed and said,
It's your job. You will have to take responsibility.
The executive had already decided it was my mistake. That makes sense. It happened in the area I was responsible for. It's unavoidable. Even so, seeing not a single subordinate defend me made me a bit sad. I was determined to be responsible and was dismissed as a disciplinary measure. I was shocked when I was fired from the company, but confident in my skills, I thought I'd find a new job quickly. I needed to find another job quickly because of the bills from Ray. Without earnings, I couldn't sustain my lifestyle. I went home and told Kim about my dismissal. I assured Kim that I would find a new job soon. However, Kim immediately became furious.
I married you because you were a rising star in a big company. My dream is to be a housewife and live happily every day. You think you'll get a job quickly after being fired for misconduct? No company would hire you now. And you said you'd make me happy. Marrying you was a mistake.
Kim started packing her things. She said she was going back to her parents' house. I tried to stop her, but it was futile. Later, I received the divorce papers and a bill for alimony. Also, a bill for the renovations from Ray arrived. I never said I'd pay, yet they assumed till the end. I was getting divorced, and I felt like saying something, but I was too tired to do anything. Exhausted, I just signed the papers without thinking. The apartment was too large for me alone after Kim left. I decided to let it go, but Kim said to split the sale price. I thought I was the only one paying till now, but I resigned myself to it. Just then, I remembered that Sally's parents were landlords. I hesitated to contact someone from my former workplace, but Sally knew my situation and their family was in real estate. I decided to rely on her. When I asked Sally for help, she kindly agreed.
It must be tough for you. Leave it to me.
Sally's parents' company was a well-established real estate firm with a strong presence in the region. Thanks to Sally's parents, the apartment sold for above the market price. Additionally, they introduced me to a lawyer for free, and as a result, I didn't have to split the sale proceeds with Kim. I had thought Kim would take most of the money, so it was a relief to keep the full amount. I went to thank Sally's parents for their help. To my surprise, Sally's parents thanked me in return.
Thank you for being someone Sally can talk to at the company. Ever since she met you, she's been brighter and talks about work more. She mentioned you too, saying there's a very dedicated and serious person at work.
Sally felt out of place at the company. I hadn't noticed because she was in a different department. I didn't sense that atmosphere when we talked in the break room, but I was surprised she talked about me. Looking at Sally, she blushed a bit and nodded shyly.
We heard you're out of work. Would you consider joining our company? It's not a big corporation like the one you work for.
I couldn't refuse the invitation from people who had been so kind to me. I had been thinking about finding a new job, so this offer was very welcome. After all, they had helped me so much. Now, I wanted to be useful to them. When I told Sally I'd accepted the job, she smiled brighter than I'd ever seen before. Everyone at the company was kind, and I felt comfortable there. However, the workload was heavy, and I often worked late into the night. Sally's father was concerned about this and tried to find a solution, but the sheer volume of work was overwhelming. The company did not have an IT department. The administrative staff managed the systems through outsourcing. I was assigned to strategic management, and I started working on building systems. I leveraged my expertise in AI to automate redundant tasks. In just a few months, I reduced the workload by more than half and received an award from the president. Sally was pleased as well. I was very happy to be able to help Sally's parents and the company that had taken care of me. My success in utilizing AI caught the attention of television networks, and I was featured in news programs and invited as a commentator. Joining this company changed my life. I wanted to express my gratitude to Sally and her parents, so I booked a dinner at a high-end hotel. Her father thanked me in return.
Thank you for saving the company.
Sally expressed her happiness about my success. As I got up to pay the bill, I heard a familiar voice. Turning around, there were Kim and a young man. Seeing me, Kim exclaimed in surprise,
Max? I can't believe you'd stretch yourself to come to such a fancy hotel.
Kim introduced the man. He was her current husband, working for a top trading company, earning twice as much as I used to.
I'm very happy now. Thanks to him, I'm having much more luxurious life than before. And you? Probably just doing some menial part-time job. I bet it's hard to find a new job, isn't it? Probably, what, about $1,000 a month? Poor thing. And yet you come to such a fancy hotel? Can you even afford to pay the bill without crying?
Realizing I had been with someone who could belittle people like this, I was disgusted with myself. I tried to calm my agitated heart and gave a non-committal reply, attempting to walk away. Sure, see you. Kim treated me like a loser.
You must be frustrated, right? If you hadn't made that mistake, you could still be with me. But thanks to you, I married a better man.
Kim said with a smirk, and her husband smirked behind her. A couple that enjoyed belittling others. I thought that they must truly match in their unpleasantness. As I stood there silently enduring Kim's words, Sally appeared behind me.
Why don't you speak back, Max? You don't know anything. Max is earning $1,000 an hour.
Sally spoke of how I turned the company around, how I was sought after by the media and had become a hot commodity, about publishing a book that became a bestseller. I was struck by the determination of the usually quiet Sally. That's right. I'm glad I divorced you. My life has changed. I'm having a great time now. Hearing this, Kim suddenly became meek and said to me,
I'm sorry about back then. I want to try again. I'm definitely better than any woman you're with now. Wasn't it more fun when you were with me?
Kim's husband was furious in the background. I have no lingering feelings for you, and I'm not interested in you at all. Of course, I declined and took Sally's hand, leaving the scene. Kim was being scolded by her husband, and they appeared to be on bad terms. I returned to Sally's parents with a bouquet of flowers. When I thanked them for changing my life, her father came close and whispered,
Have you considered marrying my daughter?
I have a divorce history. Sally overheard this and blushed shyly. Sensing something, Sally's parents suggested they leave first and departed. Sally and I spent that day talking about our past and future. I like Sally. She was the only one who cared about me when I was exhausted at my previous job. She was the only one I could talk to about the troubles at home and with my in-laws that I couldn't share with anyone else. She was incredibly helpful during the sale of the apartment, acting as a mediator between me and her parents. My current success is thanks to Sally. She rejoices in my achievements at this company. How happy I would be to spend the rest of my life with Sally. I expressed my feelings to Sally. Her face turned red, her eyes welled up with tears, and she was overjoyed. 6 months later, Sally and I had a wedding on a beach on a certain island. We could have chosen to have a lavish reception with many guests, but we opted for a modest celebration that would be memorable just for us. Sally was smiling next to me. I vowed to cherish her for a lifetime,